Fabrizio Romano has brought an update on the Ugarte transfer, saying that PSG are willing to change their terms in order to get this deal done. That is fantastic news. We've also got the latest on Aaron Wan Bissaka's move to West Ham. That seems to be progressing nicely. Scott McTominay looks like he could be on his way to Fulham if they re-spark their interest. I'm Sunburned. We're in San Diego. Let's get into the news. Hello and welcome to Stretford, Paddock. We are in San Diego. It's morning for you, but it's still morning for us, but it's just earlier morning. That's why it's dark. It's the same time, but it's dark. It makes sense, doesn't it? We all get that. And we're here in San Diego, obviously following Manchester United on their pre-season tour. We've got loads of big news coming today, transfer news at that. And we'll start with friend of the channel, Dharmesh Sheth, of course, who comes on, gives us his transfer tidbits. And today, he has spoken about Scott McTominay and Aaron Wan Bissaka. But we'll start with McTominay. A bid for him is expected to come in from Fulham, who were interested in him earlier in the window and look as though they are going to be coming back in for him. Now they are close to sealing a deal for Emile Smith-Rowe from Arsenal. They want to sign Scott McTominay. United seemingly are willing to sell him as well. He's a player that's been sort of on the radar to be sold for a couple of seasons now. I know Ten Hag played him in a lot of games last season, and I think for a while as United's top goal scorer. But we all know that Scott McTominay probably isn't of the requisite quality, and maybe not even. Let's not talk about quality. Isn't maybe the right kind of player for Erik Ten Hag's style. He doesn't really have that on the ball capability that Ten Hag likes to have in and around the middle of the pitch. He's very good off the ball. His energy, his work rate, his attitude is all exemplary. He's been at the club for a very long time, and I don't like a lot of the stick that he gets because he is someone that works hard every single game, no matter what. And he's popped up with a big goal or two in the last season. Problem is, it was in the worst season in United's Premier League history, so it's hard to really put him down as a big hero. But he's someone that I think gets a lot more stick than he deserves. And if he is to go to Fulham, which it looks as though he could possibly do, or certainly they're interested, I think he should get a little bit of respect on his name. One thing I will say is, he says here that Fulham are expected to go back in with an improved offer for Scott McTominay once they've completed the signing of Emile Smith-Rowe. That was Dharmesh Sheth, like I said, from Sky Sports News. It's expected that will happen. We don't know what that offer will be. And of course, with every United player, and I think McTominay maybe less so than others, the wages may be an issue. But I do think, if reports are to be believed, that he's on a lot less than a lot of other people at Manchester United. So whilst everyone else is cruising on 200 grand a week, Scott McTominay isn't doing that. So I think this deal is one that could get done. And again, we all know this now. And it's almost sad, really, that, you know, if you sell your academy players, they count as pure profit, which is a shame because an academy player should hold a different place in your heart than other players. They've come through at Manchester United. They were sort of born and bred at Manchester United. And it's a shame that, you know, you see these players leave in the name of profit. However, I do think, profit aside, Scott McTominay is someone that probably isn't the right fit for Erik Ten Hag at Manchester United. So if that deal could get done, it might be a nice bit of money in the kitty to bring in our next story, Manuel Ugarte. And this is from Fabrizio Romano. This is big news because there was always this hold-up that PSG wanted to sell him. United weren't sure if we'd have the money to buy him right now. So they want to sell him. We can't buy him. There's an impasse there. What can we do to get this deal done? And this is where Romano comes in. Ugarte is waiting for Man United to reach an agreement with PSG. PSG could be open to a loan with an obligation to buy. Mandatory clause and not a loan with a buy option. At the moment, PSG want the obligation or a permanent transfer. The player is waiting and still hoping to go to United. So here's the sort of the middle ground then. You want to sell him. We don't want to buy him. Okay, how about we'll loan him, but you have to buy him after that. So maybe you don't have the money now, you haven't got the 60 million or whatever it would be up front, 50 million, 40 million up front, but in 12 months' time you can work things around. Maybe if this player will go, we can, you know, do this, that and the other, and by next year, when PSR's shifted down the line a year, we will have that 60 million available to sign him. The problem with the loan with the obligation to buy is if they have a bad season, everyone's going, we've just spent 60 million on this guy who we know isn't very good. When you flip it back the other way, if you buy a player and their first season is bad, everyone goes, you know what, he's only been here a year, we've got to give him a chance, it takes a while to settle in. When it's a loan, everyone expects them to settle in immediately because we have to prove that this loan thing wasn't a bad idea. You're sort of in that halfway house of not really deciding, but actually you've already decided. So I feel like it changes the pressure on him, and I don't want that. I think one thing that's affected a lot of United transfers in the last few years is the pressure put on them for various different things, whether it's the wages that they're on in the case of Alexis Sanchez, whether it's the transfer fee in the case of Harry Maguire, whether it's, well, he's on a loan, so should we have even done this with Ugarte? I don't like that, and I don't want extra things that are going to add pressure to a player's Manchester United career. But if we want to sign a central midfielder, and a good one at that, we're probably not going to have the money to do it unless we do something like this. So a loan with an obligation to buy, to me, is almost a decent middle ground. It's just getting that fee right. I think they paid 60 million euros for him, and there was reports that they want 70 a year later, and a year into a transfer that hasn't gone well. Why would they get more from him than they paid for him? I think for me, if United can get in between that 40 and 50 million range, it's not a mega signing, it's not a blow-the-bank signing, it's a decent number for a decent player. PSG make most of the money back. Surely everyone can be happy with that. And maybe even you chuck them a tickle in of a 5 million loan fee or something for the next 12 months. I think all parties can be happy with that. And if he is the guy United want, then I think we should go for him personally. I'm going to stop you right there to bring you the sponsor of this video, Manscaped. And it may be dark, but I'll tell you a bright point of my life, the Manscaped Performance Package 5.0 Ultra. And with our code Paddock Tour, because Paddock is on tour, so it makes sense, Paddock Tour, you can get 20% off and free shipping at Manscaped. What is Manscaped? We take it for granted. We say Manscaped. We say it as though everyone knows what it is. Basically, it is the best way to trim your manly areas on the market. There is no one better. They were built from the ground up to tackle your tackle. Everyone else, we did head trimmers, we did this, that. Let's maybe make one for that. And Manscaped designed their whole brand around doing the best thing for you and your spuds. But it's not just the spuds. There's the ear and nose hair trimmer as well, the Weed Whacker. You've got your liquid formulations for pre and post shave as well. We all put deodorant on our armpits. If you spray it on your nuts, normal deodorant, it makes them sting. It's horrible, but they need it, and that's where Manscaped comes in, because they've got the ball deodorant as well. And if that wasn't good enough, they've got the shed travel bag to keep it all in. And while you're walking around with this shed travel bag, you can wear your boxer briefs that all come in the performance package. This is the one-stop shop for male grooming, so make sure you check out Manscaped. Use the code PADDOCKTOUR to get 20% off and free shipping. So just go and check them out. Click on the link in the description. Go and have a look at what they've got to offer. Put the code PADDOCKTOUR in at checkout. Jobs are good un. Back to the show. I'm going to address the sunburn. My nose is blistering. My forehead is blistering. We went to California. Well, we're in California, but we went from LA to San Diego a couple of days ago, and the burn has matured over the last couple of days. I've moisturised it as much as I can, but my face is essentially falling off. I was touching it earlier, and it was literally exploding blisters all over my forehead. That's rancid. I appreciate that. Sorry, everyone who's watching. I know it's early morning, but I can't stand here with a face like a shiny, I don't even know, Christmas bauble and pretend that nothing's going on. I see it, you see it. Let's get into some more transfers. Aaron Wan Bissaka, this is one that's been sort of ticking along, isn't it? We spoke about it yesterday. Makola spoke about it. We mentioned it again on the podcast today. It's the sort of in-out transfer triangle with Bayern Munich for Mazraoui, West Ham for Mazraoui, but then he's not going there, and West Ham want Wan Bissaka, and we have to sell Wan Bissaka to get Mazraoui. It looks as though that West Ham are close to agreeing a deal with Manchester United for Aaron Wan Bissaka. And again, it's from Darmesh from Sky Sports. He said, West Ham are now in advanced talks with Manchester United over the signing of Aaron Wan Bissaka. One source claims the club are close to an agreement, which means, and the reports are to be believed, which is somewhere in the region of 15 million plus some add-ons. It's almost going to be a straight swap for United, isn't it, for Mazraoui? A similar fee to the one that Bayern are basically willing to accept for Nusem Mazraoui. And I do think that it's clear that Ten Hag is put him in the Wan Bissaka in the McTominay column. He's a player that for the right manager could be excellent, but it isn't Ten Hag's guy. He doesn't like him as a player, obviously, as a human being. I'm sure they get on just fine, but he isn't someone that he trusts. He doesn't rely on Wan Bissaka. The only time he really sort of fancies him is in those specialist moments when you've got a Doku or you've got a Sterling in years gone by. And I think whilst that's a good trait to have, in 2024, slide tackling can't be your best trait as a fullback in a high pressing, high possession team that United are trying to be. I like Wan Bissaka. I think he's done good things for United, but I just think, like I said, slide tackling, last ditch tackles probably shouldn't be your best attribute if you're going to be a top level player for Manchester United. But that's going to be all from me this morning. Thank you very much for tuning in. This has been the news. Make sure you check out Uncensored later. Me and Adam just spilling what's been going on tour. Chatting the breeze. Is that the word? Chatting the breeze? Shooting the breeze, is it? Shooting the breeze. Yeah, Ethan's told me to shoot in the breeze. We'll be shooting the breeze later on. Make sure you check out Uncensored. Thank you very much for joining me. This has been the news from San Diego. And as you can hear, the chittering of bugs. I think a bug went on my foot actually before when we were recording, so I'm going to have to go in and empty out my sandals. We'll see in a bit.